Good evening, Torbay, residents of Torbay. Welcome to your first ever interactive virtual town hall. I think safe to say probably the first one in the province, maybe in all of Canada. We're here tonight at the town hall. We've taken questions for the last week or so from residents using the hashtag AskTorbay. We're live streaming on YouTube tonight. You can get to that live stream from the asktorbay.ca website. We're still taking questions. We're still taking questions from Twitter and Facebook with that hashtag. But I got to tell you, we've got 65, maybe 70 questions that we've collected already. We've got 16 or so that we're going to answer here tonight with Mayor Tapper and some other councillors. And we're going to try to take a few live ones. If you're tweeting or on Facebook tonight, we're going to try to get those on as well. We're also taking questions, or the town is taking questions, right up until Friday. So if you have a question that you want to get into council on this year's budget, and you didn't get it in so far today, then send it in. We'll put it up on the website. All the questions that we get, all the answers to those questions will be on the asktorbay.ca website in the coming weeks. So right now I want to introduce this gentleman to my left, Mayor Ralph Tapper. How you doing? Good evening.
Thank you, Craig. Great to have you here.
Welcome to your own town hall.
Yes.
Great to be here. Thank you. So what was it that instigated this whole approach? I mean, this is a pretty innovative thing to do. We've never seen this before in the province. M&L is really interested in how we can use social media and other communications mechanisms to get to residents and get their input. Mm-hmm. What brought you guys to the conclusion that this was the way to go?
Well, I guess it goes back a few years, maybe several years, that, we've tried other means. Town forums at our Kinsmen Centre. We've had open discussion here for the public to do a town forum. Actually, last year we tried that. Not very much of a response. Right. Actually, literally none in some cases. So our staff this time around this year, they looked at other means. Of course, with social media now, everything has changed. Right. You can communicate with however means you want, every day, every minute. So they looked at the whole scope of what we could do, and came up with this concept, to have the interactive town hall. Already, as you mentioned, we've got a tremendous number of questions from our residents, which is really remarkable as to where we were last year and the year before. So we're going to take this, and as you mentioned, and again I'll mention that. We're going to try to, if we can't answer the questions tonight, we'll do them, we'll compile them, and we'll get back to whoever sent along their question and get it answered. Absolutely. So engagement with the citizens is obviously important. Oh yes, if we could do it face to face, we've got some people here in the chamber tonight. Yep. And any other means of communicating, email, phone, Twitter, whatever, right. Facebook. So fantastic. It's all in the And it's great to see, engagement doesn't end with social media, but it's great to see a town that's using something like this to try to tap into people who probably wouldn't show up to a town hall meeting or who don't feel comfortable standing up in a meeting to ask a question. And obviously, a lot of people wanted to ask some questions, and we've got some really good ones. Yeah. And they're still coming in. So, speaking of questions, why don't we get to the very first one? Our first question is for you, and it says, where did the budget go last year, and what high-level plans do you have for this year? Well, I'm actually going to go back a few years to answer that question to get to this year. We've been in this term now for just about halfway through. This is our third budget, but when we first got elected, early in our term, before our first budget, we sat down one weekend, all of council, and did our strategic planning session. And from that, we came out with a full list of ideas and
My name is Ross Houlihan. I'm the Economic Development Officer for the town of Torbay. We're currently standing at the bottom of Spray Lane in Torbay, which is looking back onto the future site of Amherst Landing and Torbay Town Centre. We're hoping that in the future it'll look a little bit different than it is today. The site itself is a full 30 acres approximately of prime developable land looking out over Torbay Bight. It's got some of the best scenic areas of the town, if not the entire Killick Coast region. We're hoping to partner with some interested developers who'd like to turn this blank canvas of 30 acres into
review our strategic plan, see what we got done,
a residential hub,
what's not done,
increase the amount of services that we can offer to our residents.
We agreed that we're going to stay the course.
It'll give residents the opportunity to spend their hard-earned cash here in their own town. That's what we'd like it to be.
Last year we had an operations budget of
You've already got the town hall in the area. We've already got our bank. Now we need the coffee shops, we need the restaurants, we need the lounges.
Where we go from here,
what we're calling destination.
Obviously, we want some input from our residents.
Destination retail. So these are.
If you're looking at what we're hoping to fulfill, not only for this year but ending our term within the next couple of years. We're going to, some of the few items that the major items is our community centre. We're going to continue with that and look at other options. We couldn't get the funding that we needed for a huge centre, but we're going to try a plan B, if you want to call it that. Our Municipal Depot is already underway, but we're going to see that through. We also did some work on, everybody's looking at our wastewater treatment down by the beach, the outfall. It is a sore point within the town. So we're going to continue to do our homework on that and line ourselves up for some major funding. Now, some other councillors are going to get into those types of items later on, so I'm sure they'll touch base on them as well. So, but one of the major things that I'd like to see really get underway this year is our town centre concept. That's our lands down here overlooking the Bight. It's got so much potential. We've got plans drawn up for that to maybe hopefully developers will come in, help us out, get some diversified housing there, small businesses, maybe a culture centre, whatever, and get that in place because we've got a major problem here. Our business, business level is not that great. Obviously, we need more revenue from that sector. So if we can get this started and well underway, I think that would be a real good accomplishment. So I know that our Economic Development Officer has spent a few minutes down there, and we have a video actually with his presentation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at that.
Types of businesses that you would come specifically to Torbay for, not necessarily franchises that you see in every city and town. That's kind of the overarching thing for council, is to bring all residents together in a commercial hub, because too often our residents maybe aren't coming out, they're not getting to see each other, not getting to meet each other because they're going to St. John's or Mount Pearl for their commercial or for their recreational activities. This development will bring our residents together. It'll bring them the coffee shops and stuff like that they've been demanding, that they need. It's not all going to be built up. We're not looking at an urban jungle. We're looking to have some green space. We're hoping to have some community spaces here that people can use. One of the biggest tourism draws to our community at the moment is the East Coast Trail. We're hoping to see at least 2 linkages from the Torbay Town Centre that will go directly down to the trail, so that our hikers, the thousands of hikers that use the area right now, will have a perfect little spot to come, congregate in and plan their hikes from the town centre. The view is actually protected as well. We've got a conservation zone that wraps right the way around both sides of Torbay Bight, both the north and south side, the south side which we're standing on right now. So you could be rest assured that the actual town centre development comes up to the conservation area but does not interfere with it. The trail is protected, the view lines and the sight lines are all protected. We're hoping that it creates a walkable community.
Okay, we're back. Sorry about that little glitch we had there at the beginning. Not quite sure what happened there, but we've got it straightened out and we're underway again. The crew that put this whole thing together actually went down to Holy Trinity High School recently to interview students down there about what they thought the municipal government should do for Budget 2016. And we've actually got a question from one of the students on video that we'd like to take a look at now.
My name's Jordan Bradbury. I'm 17 and I'm a level 3 student here at Holy Trinity High. I'd like to know how they split up the money for stuff that gets put in. Like, if they were to put in a rec center, how would they separate the money between something else?
Our staff, our department heads, they start budget preparation as far back as August. They do their preparation. They bring it forward to our finance committee. in October. Then we get together. They have all their line items. Each department has their line items down. They have an estimated budget figure for a particular line item. So it do add up, depending on the department, to millions of dollars.
Right.
But at least those figures are there. That's their wish list. They bring it in before the finance committee, and we have a look at it. And even through that whole process, again, we haven't really gone that far into the process, because we want to get the engagement here tonight and beyond tonight. So we're looking at mid-November at least before we could bring something back to council. So within the next few weeks, our finance committee will get together and crunch the numbers with the help of our CAO, and that may take 3 or 4 shots at it before we say, okay, we got this much revenue, this is what we can afford to do, and this is what we're going to present to council.
Right.
So it is a kind of a long process, but lots of time. And our CAO, I noticed a number of years, she's been going back on the weekends crunching numbers, and there's a lot of tinkering with what we can adjust to.
A lot of back and forth between departments, between council and departments to get to the right number. It's a big balancing act, really.
Well, that's what I was just going to mention. Every town is under the municipal act that we have to balance our budget.
That's right.
So we got to come in with revenue against
And then that budget has to go to the province, and they approve it.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
A lot of research and homework.
It is. And it takes a lot of work. It takes an awful lot of time. So we got another question that was sent in over Twitter, I believe. The current security at the Kinsmen Centre parking lot is inadequate. Will any funding be used to enhance security in this area and ensure patrons using the playground, the courts, fields, and the Kinsmen Centre feel a sense of safety?
Yes, we've had a lot of trouble over there this last few years with just people, young people especially, not pinpointing them, but there's others there as well, I'm sure. But just general loitering, just coming over with their vehicles and doing their thing and moving on later on. We've had to call the RNC in some cases. But what we were looking at, actually, we're going to we're doing some planning now to maybe expand our Kin Centre into a community centre.
Okay.
But no matter if that happens or not, we got to look at updating our surveillance. We do have some surveillance cameras over there, but it's not working properly. We've got a new depot building going to be coming on stream next year at the town hall here. What we need is a centralized security system, video system, where our staff could at least pinpoint what's happening over to the Kin Centre. Because with true advice with the RNC, they say if you got proof on video, it's great to have. They'll have a look at it, and if the town wants to take another step and press charges, take it to court, then it's our option.
Sure.
So I think that's the road we're going.
And hopefully cameras are enough to deter.
Exactly.
So you don't ever have to get to that point. Another question that came in: will the town reduce the council remuneration to the average of its peers? If not, what is the justification for keeping the pay approximately 40% higher than the average?
Well, last year we got KMP to do a study for us, a service delivery report, and the first item on that was to recommendation to reduce the remuneration.
Right.
But as a follow-up to that report, our staff did some research. The report from KMP, they went and looked at 2 towns in Newfoundland and two towns in Ontario to do some comparisons. So we went a step further, and we looked at 10 towns or cities in Newfoundland itself.
Okay.
And we got to a different conclusion, looking at how we compare to similar towns, especially in the province. We're well below what other towns have out there for remuneration.
Okay.
So, we haven't actually, because under legislation, a town can take 2% of its operating grant to put towards remuneration. Our town has been a good many years since we've done that, when we first introduced remuneration. But we haven't increased our remuneration for councillors, for the council, just last several years. And we haven't in this term, as I mentioned, and we may not for the next 2 years. You know, that again, that's up to council. So what we're looking at, and personally, I think for the time that councillors put in, it's really their own time. Most of them work besides this you know, hobby they have, if you want to call it that. But you know, they put in lots of time. Some councillors have given up their vacation days to attend conventions or whatever around the island, which is, you know, is beneficial to the town. So if you put everything together and the time you spend, I would like to see, I personally would like to see before this term is over, that we recommend that for the next for next council coming in, that we should recommend an increase.
Okay.
Because, and on top of that, it will attract candidates to run in the election, next municipal elections, because we need quality candidates, and that helps.
And attracting people can be difficult. And it's hard to compare just by size. You can't just take two municipalities that are the same size, because every municipality is so different in how many of the kinds of services it provides, the amount of work the council has to do, and that sort of thing. So, okay, great. So we actually have a video question now. One of the ways that people can send in questions is by video. We've got a video question from Chris Drodge on proactive disclosure.
My name is Chris Drodge. I'm a resident of Torbay. And one of the questions I have is, I'm just wondering how difficult it would be to inform the residents of a particular street or sector of the town once a new development is actually being proposed, instead of actually having to look towards council minutes or towards town bulletins to see what is actually being developed, especially if you're in a somewhat residential area and a business is being proposed to your area. I would like to know how difficult that would be.
Okay, Mayor.
Okay, I don't see any reason why this initiative can't happen. It's actually during our there's a process when somebody, say, applies for an application for a small business in a town. If it's in a residential area, we go and look at how many, you know, houses are close by. We do contact that neighborhood to indicate, okay, there's an application coming in here. So on a bigger scale, I don't see any reason why it can't be done. We, at our council meeting last night, we got first proposal from a couple of developers for subdivisions, maybe 38 or more homes in each one. So it's a bigger scale, but again, I don't see any reason why even the whole town cannot be notified. Again, because of social media, every other way of communicating these days, it should be something I'm sure we will consider.
Absolutely.
And there's no reason why it shouldn't happen.
And we've got new legislation now around access to information, that sort of thing. That's it's requiring governments to be way more proactive about giving out that kind of information. So it's good to hear.
It's a lot easier for us to get it out to the community. I think
Absolutely.
Then, like it was mentioned, that you got to go through the minutes and everything else.
And easier for you guys to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
So, one more question here for you. Does it really matter what citizens think? Do our suggestions really influence the budget allocations? And I think that's a question that goes to the heart of why you're trying something like this, right?
Yeah. Well, obviously, it matters because we're doing this.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at another way, and so far it seems to be working. And we want input from not only the people who are participating in this tonight, but later on, no matter what, if they look at our website, you'll find all kinds of information about our town, about our budget and whatever. But I'll give you one example. A few months ago, through social media, a group of residents, mostly younger residents, got together. It was over 20 actually, emailed me and said they want to meet with us and discuss the Hillside Festival, our Hillside Festival. We haven't had that in the last few years, but they wanted to bring it back. So we had a really good, it was a quick meeting, and we got them in, and their delegation went back and they met with everybody in a group. And now they're going to take on themselves that they're going to make that happen and have a Hillside Festival next year. So, again, in the budget process, we're going to look at that, support them in whatever way we can. And it's their project, and we're going to see it through. So that's just one, reason why this kind of engagement, we want to see things happen. And like I say, we do appreciate feedback. We're going to get answers to all the questions again that come through us here tonight. And, hopefully, and my door is open to anybody, anytime. Like I mentioned, I'm here most mornings, and if they want to come in and discuss any aspect of the budget or anything else that's happening in the town, we want your feedback, whether it's face-to-face or through social media, and we really appreciate it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, talking about creative ways now, I guess this last week or so, we've done an engagement video, and which again has gone over really, really well.
It has, yeah.
We launched it last Wednesday, and we've got a number of hits on it already. It's gone, I guess, viral.
Gone viral.
I know it's gone to Japan. And
You've got something that went viral.
But it's a great video. The aim of it is to attract new residents to the town, new business to the town, new tourists through the town. So it's, it's great. So I think we're going to show it now.
Just to tell you how viral it is.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're using viral in a good way, but that's where we are. Over 34,000 plays so far this video has gotten. So why don't we take a look at that video right now?
There's something in the water that makes you want to stay. There's something in the air that just makes everything okay. There's something in the people that makes them family. There's something in the water, and I never wanna leave. Ooh. Something in the water here that's got a hold on me. The sky's a little bluer, the air is fresh and clean. The grass is a bit greener than any grass I've ever seen. The sea, it wraps around me, it beckons me to stay. There's something in the water, and I'll never go away. This is where I want to be. There's something in the water here that's got a hold on me. Once you venture here, you're gonna wanna stay. There's just no place quite like beautiful Torbay. This is where I want to be. There's something in the water here that's got a hold on me. There's something in the water here that's got a hold on me.
And we're back. It is just a great video, and I'm glad it's getting all the attention it does. We're back with segment 2 of our session tonight. My name is Craig Pollitt. I'm with Municipalities Newfoundland Labrador. And joining me now, we have to my far left, Councillor Mary Thorne Goss, and to my near left, Councillor Craig Scott. guys. Thanks for coming on, braving the bright lights.
Good to be here.
You know, the millions of people that are watching us on YouTube right now.
Oh yeah, I know, yeah.
So before we get into the questions, just a little bit about yourselves. Mary, what drove you to join council?
I've always wanted to improve the town.
Yep.
And over the years, I've, could easily look and say, why don't they do this? Or why don't they do, take on different initiatives?
Mm-hmm.
So rather than doing that, I decided to get on council myself. So that goes back to probably number 16 years ago. And
So you've stuck it out.
I've really enjoyed it. I was at it 4 years. I wasn't on council 4 years ago, and then I came back and really enjoying it, back into the swing of it again.
Excellent.
And yeah.
So Craig, we have a thorn here, but I hear you were a thorn for a while. A thorn in someone's side anyway, and now you're on council.
Yeah.
And is it a different perspective for you now?
It is a different perspective, but when I started, I was a thorn in people's sides with my blog and trying to keep people up to date what's going on in the town. And eventually I started coming to the meetings, so I went to the meetings for about, almost 4 years before I ran for council. So I got more familiar with the councillors and with staff, and it actually made what I was doing better because I was getting better information.
Right.
At first I was kind of flying off the cuff, just say whatever you want.
Yeah.
But as time went on, I got to appreciate more what they were doing and how much time they were putting into it. And then so I put that much time into what I was doing, trying to bring those issues to the residents. And then I decided to run for council last election.
Good for
I
you.
was successful.
So you're not completely domesticated yet, though. I mean, you still have some edge to you. So
I do, yeah.
okay, that's good. Couple questions to start off for Councillor Thorne Goss. We had a question that came in, said in 2015, we have seen some significant monetary changes to admission fees for events and programs as the town tried to meet a certain recovery. Should we expect to see further increases in 2016?
Mm-hmm. Well, last year we had a consultant, KPMG, that we had hired, and the whole initiative, I guess for us, the intent was to see how we could manage the town in a more effective and efficient manner. And as a result of that, we discovered that some of our programs, we weren't recouping the cost, and it was actually costing the taxpayers a lot of money. So what we decided to do was come up and develop a formula whereby we would recoup some of the costs. So we went through an extensive exercise last year to do that, and this year we're hoping that there'll be no need to increase the costs.
Okay.
And unless we get some new programs or suggestions from services as a result of this engagement, citizen engagement tonight. So.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a quick question here on trails, and I think we've got a video response to it. I'll read the question out. It says, can Budget 2016 include funding for more walking trails like the new one in Western Island Pond? Great job, by the way, is how the question ends. So I think we've got a video response ready to go to that particular question.
Today we're at the Western Island Trail in Forest Landing. A month ago we had our grand opening, and as we can see from here this morning, it's used quite often, and the residents and those that come by from other areas of Torbay really like it and are really enjoying it. We recently had our first budget meeting, and whereby we talked about our strategic plan. And we plan on having so much money allocated towards continuing the Grand Concourse standard for different areas of Torbay, whether it be in here in Forest Landing or go to a different area of Torbay.
So you were telling me you have a green space management plan. What does that entail?
That entails an inner loop of trails around Torbay and an inner loop and an outer loop. And also the intent is at some point in time, is to continue the Grand Concourse standard around that area of Torbay as well. And that would be something that I guess in years to come that we will have a green space, and as well have the residents and visitors to be able to come and walk around all of the either inside of Torbay in a residential area or in the outskirts. So this is an example of the trail prior to being brought up to Grand Concourse standard. As you can see, it's very narrow. Rocky in places, and also in other areas it was very wet where we just had some planks laid across for residents to walk over. We're asking for input from residents, so if residents would really like to see this standard going throughout the trails in Torbay, it's really a good opportunity for them to let us know in the upcoming weeks, and basically that will determine how much funding we will set aside for this type of trails in the area. Today we're at the Western Island Trail in Forest Land.
Okay, that was an excellent response from virtual Mary, but we've got a question now for real Mary here in the studio with us. And the question says, most of the work being done on playgrounds appears to be in the town subdivisions. What are the plans to enhance and or develop the playgrounds for those not residing in a subdivision in Budget 2016? And in addition to that, are there any considerations being given to equipment for children with disabilities?
We have had some discussions with our Community Services Committee with regards to increasing our playgrounds and our green space for next year. And we had one park in particular, Barkwood, where we were going to have it develop it as an all-inclusive park for children with disabilities. And really, since getting this question and just thinking, there's no reason why we can't move some of that equipment to the Kinsmen Centre, which is one of our central parks right now. And even though we're hoping that there'll be some renovations and with the Kinsmen Centre and expanding that to a community centre, but at the same time, I think that it would be really worthwhile. I had an opportunity to visit Voisey Brook Park down in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's, and I was really impressed a few weeks ago there with the equipment that they have there for children with disabilities. So
excellent.
It's really good timing.
There's some really amazing stuff happening with what they call universal design.
Yes.
So designing public spaces so that anybody can use it, not specifically for folks with disabilities, but just anybody. So it sounds good. It sounds like you're going in a good direction. Another question, this one for you, Councillor Scott. Any plans to repave a portion of Quigley's Lane? There are massive potholes just past Mass.
So road upgrades and maintenance is part of regular operations budget for Public Works. Yeah. So that one is on the list, and it's due to get done. Hopefully it might get done this year, but depending on the schedule with pavers and paving, the paving plants and stuff, it may not. It might have to wait till the spring, but it is on the list to be done.
Right. And you are kind of dependent on the schedule of the contractor who's doing the paving in a lot of cases, because they're doing a whole bunch of towns, not just yours. They're not sort of at your beck and call, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're really busy. I mean, we got them down here now on Mans Lane. They're going to be there for over a month.
Yeah.
So that's a fairly big job.
And if they're here, they're not doing some other town.
That's right. And it's not just one contractor. It's other ones that are all around, right?
Absolutely. But you guys did get a lot of road work done this year, right? You had,
yeah, we did. What we did was we looked at our gas tax funding for the next 3 years or 4 years, and we had some discussions at the Public Works Committee about how can we get the most out of this money.
Right.
So what we did was we took all of the allocation for the next 3 years, combined it, and we were able to go to tender and get a better price and get more done. So for less money, we got 12 roads done. If we had to split it up into 3 years, we probably would have been able to do 3, 3, and 3,
right?
Something like that, right? So it actually worked out really good, and those are the type of things that that we need to do to try and stretch the bit of money we have to make it go further.
So another question for you. What kinds of investments go into making our community safe?
Like I said, with regular maintenance, there's things that go on with road painting, with painting lines and crosswalks, and we're putting in a new sidewalk now, and always we're going to be looking for those opportunities as the right job comes up. If we're doing a big resurfacing, to see if there is a possibility to put sidewalk on that road.
Okay.
We have some challenges here because the roads are narrow, and you can't do that in every circumstance.
Sure.
But those are the type of things, and fixing shoulders and fixing potholes, and we have, the fire protection that we have, our fire department is second to none. And we have security personnel hired in the summertime to patrol the town. And actually this year we undertook a pedestrian safety study.
Okay.
And what they did, they went and looked at all the areas of the town where we're having issues. And they did traffic counts, speed counts, so we know exactly on every road how fast the average speed is, how many cars are going. Then once that was done, we actually had a public meeting and had people come in and ask questions and identify other issues that the consultant may have missed. Then they actually did pedestrian counts. It was the first time I ever heard of it, but they actually had a sensor on the road, and I saw it on the first day of school where they were actually counting people that were walking, so they're identifying where people are walking. So hopefully that study is going to be back within the next month, in the month of November, and recommendations come from that about how to make the town safer, in particular for pedestrians and drivers, and get the end game on that is to get a actual traffic calming policy so that we uniformly roll out traffic calming measures throughout the town and not just on ad hoc, put a speed bump here, put a speed bump there, that type of thing.
So I think we have a video response as well we can run now.
So this is the busiest volunteer fire department in the province, correct?
Yeah, that's last year they had, I think, 255 calls. So for a volunteer fire department, that is a lot. And a lot of those calls are medically related. So it just goes to show the training and the capability of the fire department that we have here in the town. As the town grows, the demand on infrastructure and services grows. So this fire department right now, I think it has 44 members, and we have a station in Flat Rock as well. So we provide fire services to the town of Torbay and the town of Flat Rock. And as the years go by, the equipment gets older and it needs to be replaced. And I think that a misconception, or I don't know if it's not an understanding, but a lot of people when they talk about the services they get from the town, they say, we get our garbage picked up and our roads plowed. Sometimes fire services is I guess they don't give it a second thought, they just think it's going to be there. But I know that a number of years ago, the old pumper needed to be replaced, and the town tried through the province to get a new pumper in, and it wasn't possible at the time. So the town had to go out and purchase a new pumper themselves. So that was this one here. Last year, our older piece of equipment was pretty much done. So we needed another new vehicle, and we purchased this one here. And the town paid 100% for that because we couldn't get no matching funds from the provincial government. Now this year, we applied for a new rescue vehicle, and we were successful through the province to get 70-30 funding partnership on that. And that's going to replace this old rescue that we have here. And then we should be pretty good then for equipment. And there's a relatively new pumper in the station down in Flat Rock as well. So it's a large portion of of our infrastructure and our services for the town. And I think people need to realize that that we have this, and we have 44 members, and they're all trained, and there's training that has to go on all the time. It's a very big, it's a big cornerstone for the town, I think.
Okay, we're back. That was an excellent answer, by the way, on that video. That was really good. We've actually got a live question just came in via email. And the question says, and I think this is probably for you, Councillor Thorngoss, I would like to see the town plan more events for the whole community. especially when it comes to going back to our roots with things like the Hillside Festival. Would town days be something the town would consider in 2016?
Absolutely.
Excellent. That was an easy answer.
I'm so delighted that recently we had a group, a committee, actually, that it started from one person putting their name on Facebook and say that they were interested in having an event originally for this year, but there wasn't enough time to plan it. So we currently have approximately 18 individuals who are interested in putting together an event for next summer. And I refer to it as going back to the basics, where it's a hillside or swallers or whatever you want to call it, whereby they will come in, have some local entertainment for a day, and then they're looking at having darts and having activities for the children. And when we spoke about this, everything that they had talked about was something that we did years ago, and it's a group of basically young people who have their children to take in consideration, young families, and so I'm delighted. And even the enthusiasm around the room when we're having a meeting. And just before I came here tonight, actually, I had a phone call from one of the individuals, and they had a couple of questions when they're going to meet, and they're putting together currently a budget for an initiative, an event for next year.
Excellent.
And we're hoping to meet next week, so absolutely, we're all there for that. That's really exciting.
Good stuff. So, next question. A little more hardcore than the Hillside Festival, maybe, but no less important. Does the town have any plans to expand water and sewer? Councillor Scott.
I guess the short answer would be when we get more water capacity.
Right.
Right now, our water supply at North Pond is pretty much maxed out.
Okay.
Now, there are some water allocations left for lots that have been identified in the infill study. So basically, if two houses have water and sewer, there's a lot in the middle, that was counted.
Right.
And any subdivision that might be located within the service area, that would have been counted. So those ones are still going to go ahead. But the other issue is, as the town expanded, we got into large lots. Mm-hmm. So now you're talking about 100-foot, 120-foot frontage.
Right.
Whereas in normal service areas, you're looking at 50, 60-foot frontage. So the cost to bring a water and sewer line across 120 feet for one house is basically double if you were doing it for two houses.
Right.
And the revenue that you make from that based on the water and sewer tax that people pay, so you're getting half the money back.
Right.
So all those are things that would have to be taken into consideration. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, if we ever get our water situation straightened out, and we have some studies that we're waiting on, for City of St. John's Regional Water Study, and a few other initiatives that we're taking on ourselves.
Okay.
That I would never say no, never,
Yeah.
but it's a big job.
Yeah. Well, and there's no point promising something you can't do either.
That's right.
And all the water supplies here, I mean, there's so much of that happens on the Northeast Avalon that's linked, and water is definitely one of those, and we'll get to another one in a minute. That's one of those.
One thing that we have been doing, and that's we've discussed at our committee, some semi-serviced type lots where
Okay.
you have your own well, but hook into the sewer system.
Oh, okay.
And that's actually better for the town, because the more people we add to the sewer system, the more economical it makes, right? It makes
Sure.
more sense.
Yeah, we can spread the cost more, yeah. So we have a question, quite a long question about back to the pedestrian issue, and I think there's a video response for it, but I'll read the question out here. It says, my family and I do a lot of walking, but find Torbay not to be pedestrian friendly. It's great to see a sidewalk being built by the school, but it would be nice if it was safe to walk on the side of the other roads within Torbay. Sidewalks may be costly, so perhaps even a widened shoulder. This way, people may even be able to bicycle more safely. And I think we have a video response to that question lined up right now.
Okay, so where are we right now?
This is Mans Lane, and I am standing on our newest piece of infrastructure, our new sidewalk that we're putting in here. Personally, I'd like to see sidewalks everywhere, but the fact is the town was built and grew, and the sidewalks weren't put in at the beginning, So it's a bigger job now to do them afterwards. This road here was slated on our list of roads that we have that need to be improved. And at the time, and my philosophy is, and I guess always will be, if the project is right and you have the money at the time, then do it correctly. And basically that's what we did here. Originally this job was just to resurface, do the pavement. And we had some savings from other road projects that we did. And we decided that this was the right time to do this correctly. And it's a very heavy pedestrian area because the kids come from the school, they're going down here to Irving or to the pizza place for lunch, and it just made perfect sense to do it here now.
What's next in your plans?
We had a pedestrian safety study done, and hopefully in the next few weeks we're going to get our initial report back from the consultant. And we did some consultations with residents and find out where the issues were. They actually did traffic counts, pedestrian counts, trying to find out where the busiest areas were. And they're going to bring back recommendations how we can deal with it. So that's going to be a big piece of how we move forward and implement that into future paving jobs or upgrading jobs that we do. And when we identify an area and come up with the best solution to fix those problems.
Okay, great. We're back, and we've got 2 live questions that just came in that relate to that video answer and our line of discussion we've had so far. John Goldworthy wants to know about the status of the sidewalk on Torbay Road and Indian Meal Line. Craig, maybe you could address that, and then we'll get to the next one.
I guess the short answer, the status is there is none there.
Okay.
But
all right, next question.
well, I don't know if a lot of people know, and I've read into this from people before. There's some roads in Torbay that are provincially
Owned.
jurisdiction.
Right.
So that would be Torbay Road, Marine Drive, Pine Line, Indian Line, and Ballyline.
Okay.
And yes, we can put sidewalks on, but we'd have to do it in cooperation with provincial government.
Sure.
So putting down a sidewalk itself, the sidewalk portion, is not the expensive part. It's the curb and gutter and all that extra work that comes along with that. So, yeah, I mean, we would never say no. And now that we've started putting down sidewalks and we have an idea of how much it actually costs, because I know I heard we were throwing numbers around before when we were looking at our budget, and we had estimates and they were from, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, I don't know.
Right.
But obviously those are no good now. The price of stuff has gone up 2, 3, 4-fold. You know?
Sure.
So
And you would need, the province would have to be interested in doing that as well.
yes, and then every time you get into talking about those provincial roads, then there's always that undercurrent there that you're wondering if the province is going to want you to take over that road, and that's a pretty large expense that,
Yep.
that I don't know if any council wants to get into that discussion.
So probably a quick answer to this other live question that just came in. Any plans to realign or improve the intersection at Marine Drive and Torbay Road? Then it says intersection to new middle school.
That one on Marine Drive, Torbay Road, our pedestrian study, they are looking at that intersection.
Okay.
So that's going to come back in that report. So they might have some suggestions on what to do with that.
Okay, good. A big issue with a lot of municipalities treating wastewater, sewer, essentially. There's new regulations now from the federal government telling us how we need to treat that stuff. Question here that relates to that: when is action going to be taken on the raw sewage flowing into our harbour? What funding will be used from the 2016 budget?
Well, wastewater treatment is one of the larger items in our strategic plan when we sat down and talked about the big things that we need to do. And we did follow through on that. We had a best available technology study done.
Okay.
So over the course of a year, we had to find out, do all kinds of sampling and find out, I know it's gross, but the quality of your sewage.
Yeah.
Find out how much water penetration you have and everything, because you have to build sewer treatment to treat sewer. You can't treat fresh water. So if you have a lot of problems with fresh water coming in it, anyway, so all that had to be done. And then we're still doing, we had that study completed, and we know that the numbers came back and they were, I don't know if alarming is the word, but the price to put in sewage treatment in Torbay is between $11 and $16 million.
Yeah.
That's just to build the plant.
Yep.
And then it's
Doesn't include staff you'd have to hire,
No.
or operational costs. That's
those operational costs, they figure about another $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
So the big issue that we have now is that only about 40% of the town is on water and sewer.
Okay.
So that's a large bill. So
For half
try
the
to
town.
try and figure out how to do the operational part,
Yep.
because the federal government put these regulations in place, and we have to be in compliance by 2020, 2030, or 2040, depending on what risk level you are.
Right.
So this sampling that we're doing now, it had to be done for a full year to find out what level you are if you had to be in compliance by 2020. If we had to be in compliance by 2020, we're already too late.
Right.
Because it takes about 5 years or 6 years from start of construction till it's open before these sewage treatment plants are operational.
Sure.
So basically that's where we're to now.
Okay.
So we have our study on the shelf with our costing and what we need in place. And considering the federal government are the ones that brought this regulation in, and as you know, they haven't come forward yet where the money is coming from to do it.
That's right.
They're telling you have to do this, but
On your own dime.
yes, so where's the money going to be? So that's basically where we're to now. But
Good.
it's not gone
Well,
off
not
the
good.
radar, right?
Thanks. Good answer. We got one more question for actually virtual Craig, who's going to answer us from a video response, and then we're going to go back to Councillor Thorne Goss. So the next question is, why is the town building a new municipal depot? And we've got a video response for that.
Well, the new depot is a project that's been on the go for over 10 years now, I guess. It's been identified it had to be moved, and the current one we have is not really servicing our needs. So council identified as part of our strategic plan that one of our major initiatives was to get the depot moved. So about a year and a half ago, I guess, we finally got the land purchased, and it's up by South Pond off the bypass road. And that location is really good because it's central in the town. When equipment comes out, they can spread out and go everywhere. And it's not in the middle of a residential neighborhood like it is right now. And I guess the other part about that is we also have planned to do a town centre concept behind where Town Hall is now. A large portion of our property taxes is residential. So we need to look at ways to expand our commercial base. And that is really the last big area that we have that can be developed that's on water and sewer and that's easily accessible. And the depot was sitting right there. So it has to move out of there so we can move forward with those plans. So it's kind of a twofold process. Need a new depot, also need access to that area there to do the development. So it's a win-win situation actually. And we want to provide a good, safe work environment too for our workers and a place where we can make our equipment last longer and just service the residents better.
Okay, we're back. And believe it or not, we're down to our last question, broadcasting to the universe from Torbay. And just a reminder, if you have any other questions you want to send in, you've got until Friday. Call, use Facebook, use Twitter, use email. On Twitter and Facebook, use the hashtag AskTorbay. All those questions will go on the asktorbay.ca website, and they will all be answered in short time. So our last question of the evening, special events, and it's to you, Councillor Thorne Goss. So we're going to have a little video response from you, and then we're going to have you come back and answer the question. And it's a long one, so you might want to write it down. Special events, community groups, fitness programs, etc. continue to struggle to find space within the town. How do you anticipate building a sense of community when you cannot offer programming for the current population? What are your immediate plans for Budget 2016 to improve this situation? So I think we've got a clip with a question from a young lady, and then we'll go to Mary's video answer.
My name is Jana Green. I am 17 years old. I'm a level 3 student at Holy Trinity High School. I think that we need a better community center in regards to recreation where students can go, our sports teams can go and practice. Unfortunately, right now our gym is packed. We don't have any free time at all for not even just sports teams to go in, like performing arts groups to go in and use the stage and use. So I think to have a community center and to have almost like a sports complex where everyone can go and it can really be revolved around the community would be a fantastic thing, because we have so many young people coming up who want to be involved in the community and who want to stay here, but if the resources aren't here for our sports teams and everything, we're not going to be able to grow and succeed. My name is...
So we're back, and it really seems like recreation, social offerings like that are a big thing for students, for young people in general. We've had a couple questions now from the youth down at Holy Trinity. Is that something you get a lot of calls about? And you said the call from for the festival was from a group of younger people.
Younger people, the younger families, but we have a real need. The town of Torbay has expanded to the point where we have ran out of space to hold different functions and different groups to meet with. And in addition to what our new community center, recently, and probably I think Craig, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the past week we've turned ground on a new clubhouse up at the upper three-corner park on the Balleen line. And this is something that where we have the soccer and softball in there. Can be a joint facility, and we'll have some space in there that we'll be able to have various meetings.
Okay.
In addition, I'd like to add there that we've just reallocated some funding for a recreation master plan for this area as well. So, really looking forward to that, something happening in that area in the next year or so as well. So.
And we just put a new dog park up there this year too.
So all kinds of recreation stuff, even for animals.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a quick video response to that, and then we'll come back.
Our plans currently are to look at a facility for here at the Kinsmen Centre, and it will consist of a full-size gymnasium as well as space that we will be able to accommodate upwards to 350 residents. And then there will be individual dividers at any given time that we will be able to make it a smaller area. And it's something that's in really high demand, because currently we have outgrown the Kinsmen Centre, and we would like to have a facility that could accommodate from the very young right up to their seniors, because at any given time we have different community groups that are meeting here, and even from our brownies and our Girl Guides, we don't have the space to facilitate everybody that requires space, and to have a wedding or any kind of a birthday party or any kind of a function in the town. So it's one of our high priorities to hopefully by the spring turn the sod on a new community centre.
Well, thanks very much. This time has blown by, but we are at the end of our broadcast tonight. It's been a fabulous experience for me, I have to say. It's something that I like to push around the province, the idea that municipalities need to reach out to residents in new and cool and interesting ways. So I'm very happy to come down and help the town of Torbay with this experiment. Thanks very much to you guys for taking the time to be here tonight and answer questions. Didn't have a heck of a lot of prep. These guys were almost speaking off the cuff sometimes. They know their stuff. They weren't just sort of reading off notes. So, and thanks to all the staff at Torbay, Mayor Tapper, who was with us early on. If you want to send in more questions, like we said before, you've got until the end of the week. Council is more than happy to respond to all of them. And I'd just like to congratulate the town, actually, for taking on this kind of initiative. I think it's something that a lot of other towns can emulate. It's something that taps into a wide demographic of people. Lots of people using social media now. Everybody's on Facebook. Everybody's grandmother's on Facebook. And a lot of people are using Twitter. So I think it's a great way to get to people who probably don't want to come down to a town hall meeting, don't want to go to that sort of event anymore. And it's sort of the way the world is going. So congratulations, guys, and thanks for having me to be part of it. And thanks to everybody who was watching. We appreciate you sending in your questions and paying attention and listening. Thanks very much.